deja vu for Bynum and the Lakers. Deja vu, Jamey Eisenberg is giving me excellent fantasy advice.
Myself, deja vu. Have we been here before?
That's right, we have. Lauren Shehadi, Jamey Eisenberg, we're always here. Glad to be with you here. Let's talk about Andrew Bynum, injured again, kind of deja vu for the Lakers about last season, dealing with that knee injury. Fantasy owners cannot be happy about it, Jamey.
Not at all. You talk about the way that he's been playing up to this point, especially the last few weeks. We're seeing double-doubles across the board. We're seeing a 42-point career-high performance for him. He's just been playing fantastic, really emerged as a #1 fantasy center, So hopefully this injury is not going to linger because the Lakers can't afford to have him out for an extended period of time, especially if they're trying to get the #1 seed in the Western Conference. And fantasy owners, listen, we're getting close to playoff time. The All-Star break is typically when you start to see where you're going to be falling in terms of your playoff push for your fantasy leagues, and you definitely want to have Andrew Bynum in there. I know for myself, Lauren, in one of my leagues, I have Andrew Bynum as my starting center. I don't want to see him out, and I know the Lakers don't either.
You're not happy. Fantasy owners aren't happy about it. How can we make them happy? Kobe, Lamar Odom, are they going to see a boost?
Yeah,
Bynum's out for a while?
I think so. We'll start with Kobe. You look at the way that he's been playing up to this point in the season, being more of a facilitator for the Lakers, not necessarily seeing the huge scoring outburst for him. There has been an 81-point game in a couple of years, but we haven't seen the 40-point games. The 30-point games haven't really been there. He's also been dealing with that finger injury, but I think you'll see his scoring start to go up a little bit if Bynum is out. But aside from Kobe, Lamar Odom, Paul Gasol are probably going to see the biggest impacts if Bynum has to miss an extended period of time. Lamar Odom sort of been lost in nowhere land at this point, not really having his defined role with Bynum, Gasol being the two big guys up there for the Lakers. If Bynum's out, we'll see Odom return to the role that he had last year, and the same thing with Gasol. Remember, when Bynum got hurt last year, that's when Gasol was added to the Lakers. He played really well for the Lakers down the stretch. I think you'll see Gasol scoring, rebounding go up as well, and then you'll see some of the lesser-known guys for the Lakers, Vladimir Radmanovic, Luke Walton, maybe even Jordan Farmar. These guys are going to have to pick up their games because, listen, if that double-double is gone from the Lakers for an extended period of time, those guys have to play a little bit better.
Fantasy owners want to stop with the depressing stuff. They want to talk about guys that are recovering. Carmelo Anthony, that bone in his hand did not look too bad. He looked fine.
He did, and that's a good thing because, we were hoping that he would come back, get that one game under his belt, play well coming into the upcoming scoring period, and I think that gives fantasy owners reason to put him back in your lineups, and I think you can expect good production from him going forward. The scoring will be there, the rebounding will be there, maybe even a couple of assists. Listen, the Nuggets are making a playoff push here, and they're making a very strong one with Chauncey Billups, as we talked about in our last video. Nene playing really well, Kenyon Martin, J.R. Smith. These guys are going to start to continue to play around Carmelo, and I think he'll put up good stats. Linus Kleza, J.R. Smith, their scoring will probably go down a little bit that Carmelo's back, but Carmelo's still a great fantasy option going forward.
Jamey, you mentioned our last video, and in our last video, you mentioned Anderson Varejao, his window kind of being up because the Big Z is back after being sidelined for 13 games. Is he going to have an effect on your fantasy team?
Absolutely. You talk about the way that he played in the 2 games coming back from the ankle injury, and the best thing about it is he's saying that he doesn't expect a setback. Listen, he had the ankle injury previously, then he had a little bit of a problem after he played a few games. He said the ankle started to bother him. That's when the Cleveland coaching staff decided to reevaluate Big Z. They kept him out for the 13 games, as you mentioned. Now he's back. He's looking good. Says he feels healthy. Doesn't expect a setback. So that's a good sign for him because I think when you talk about the way he's going to return putting up close to double-double stats, maybe hit some threes like he did in his previous game, and I think that's a good sign that the shooting stroke is there, the rebounding is there. Listen, he's a #2 fantasy center, definitely worth starting, and as long as he's healthy, keep him in your lineup.
Get him in your lineup. Keep him in your lineup. What about Tracy McGrady? What is going on with Houston? What's in the water? All those injuries.
Yeah, all those injuries. You talk about the injured guards, and you'll see a lot of guys on this list. I think you'll see most of these players should be okay at some point during this upcoming scoring period, but as we've seen with Tracy McGrady throughout this year, the knee injury just continues to be a recurring problem. I think the safe option going forward, at least for this coming scoring period, keep him reserved because you don't want to have a situation where he plays a game or two and then he has to go to the bench, as we've seen. So I think the safe option, again, as we'll always tell you with injuries, be safe, keep Tracy McGrady reserved, and hopefully that this is something that gets rectified going into the playoffs.
He remains an injury risk. As we talked about in the previous video, we mentioned Bynum. A crash with him is the reason Wallace is out.
Yeah, absolutely. Gerald Wallace feeling the effects of a broken rib, a collapsed lung. He's going to stay in the Los Angeles area at least through Monday. Going to miss the game Monday night at Utah. So that's going to sort of alter things for the Charlotte Bobcats. That means Boris Diaw goes to small forward. That means Juwan Howard. Yes, that Juwan Howard. He's still in the NBA. He's actually going to start at power forward for the Bobcats. Adam Morrison on the bench. So I think the safe option with Gerald Wallace, again, keep him reserved this week. He's going to be out for an indefinite period of time. It looks like Shawn Marion may be coming back, and Kevin Garnett, which we'll talk about a little bit in the waiver wire. Kevin Garnett probably going to miss Tuesday's game after missing Sunday's game against his former team. with a fever.
Okay, no timetable for Wallace's return. Let's talk Brad Miller. For the upcoming week, at least, he's a no-go, right, Jamey?
Absolutely. You know, he's probably going to be out through February 6th, or at least until the game on February 6th. So I think the safe option, again, with Brad Miller, keep him reserve. You know, this is a guy that's having a fantastic year, contract year, so he's playing for a new deal, trying to get paid, and I think he'll be back sooner than we expect. But the safe option, again, whenever you see a guy that's going to miss a couple games, keep him reserved for the upcoming period, because you don't want to have that out there. You don't want to have the chance that he misses a couple games and you're really stuck with a bad lineup for that week.
Trying to get paid. Everyone's trying to get paid, right? Let's talk about guys we want to pick up off the waiver wire.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned Brad Miller's injury. We talked about Kevin Garnett for a second. Glenn Davis starting for Garnett. Glenn Davis has been playing really well this year, you know, sort of taking minutes away from Kendrick Perkins. When Perkins was out, Davis stepped up his game, and I think you'll see that Garnett is out. He's not a bad start for this upcoming week when we talk about Glenn Davis. Spencer Hawes is going to fill in for Brad Miller. That's somebody you can definitely add. Hawes is a favorite of one of our producers, Aaron Weisberg, and I think you'll see that Spencer Hawes for the upcoming scoring period with Miller out. You can stick Hawes in there. And then Ronald Murray. Mike Bibby's been struggling a little bit. I actually got a chance to talk to Bibby last week. Did a story on CBSSports.com. You can check that out.
I talked to him as well. I'm kidding.
Very nice. But Bibby's been struggling a little bit, and that's opened the door for Ronald Murray to really emerge as a sixth man for the Hawks, somebody you can add and really play even in with Bibby and Joe Johnson really doing the number of getting the number of minutes there for the Hawks, but Murray still working in and playing well.
All right. Thanks, Jamey. And thank you for watching. For Jamey Eisenberg, I'm Lauren Shehadi. See you on Friday.